about his company and decided to shut us down.
Yes.
We
just like how he pulled the tape from Saudi Arabia.
Yes. Just like he screwed Bret Hart, although if you ask him, I'm sure he didn't screw the Phantom Zone. The Phantom screwed the Phantom Zone. We tried recording an opening to the episode, and Discord told us all to go fuck ourselves individually.
Yes.
Yep.
And then it was a fun calliope of just hang up, rejoin, hang up, rejoin, hang up, rejoin.
A small moment of panic between 4 people.
Yeah.
That's chronicled in the chat of people just going, "What?"
I'd like to remind everyone who might be listening to this, we are an award-winning podcast.
Yes.
And by that he means Leo, our number one fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love you. We love you, Leo.
Nothing you can do is wrong, Leo. Punch Hunter in the face. Punch him in
Dude,
the
keep
face.
doing all the things.
Yes.
Young_Kami, send all your gift party invites.
But anyway, this is going to be kind of I'm going to assume now, a pretty wacky news edition of the After Dark show. I'm Connor McGraw, and I would like to die, please.
Arlen Harrow, and I am somehow still here and not taken by a mermaid and some seagulls.
What's bad luck?
I'm Erik Fedorchak, and testicular fortitude is my bread and butter.
And I'm Lou Gonzalez, and I'm trapped in an emotional box that is my house because I'm not allowed to leave.
Yeah, he's in Cube, and I'm in the Lighthouse, and we're
Erik, the amount of times that I've had to hear Vince McMahon say testicular fortitude throughout my life is really discomforting, actually.
If you say his name one more time, our server will crash.
I know. He's
like Slenderman.
His face has appeared on my TV, and it's not on. I don't understand what's happening.
He just cut in that promo when he brought the NWO in. He's like, "I'm gonna kill it with a lethal dose of poison."
He's gonna puke. He's gonna puke.
Oh, poor Draws.
Oh God.
And real quick before we get into it, like we were, I think were you say poor puke or was it?
No, what I was just gonna say, poor paralyzed Draws.
Yeah, exactly. But we were. He's pops up in the Dark Side of the Ring episode about Brawl for All, which is, as Arlen has recently discovered, as a non-wrestling fan, is probably the dumbest thing a wrestling fan or a non-wrestling fan could discover in pro wrestling, because like it made no stars and just injured like 11 people.
Which one was Brawl for All? Because
the fucking real boxing tournament they had with people who weren't boxers, and the winner fought Butterbean.
Oh, okay. I need to watch that because I remember that.
Oh my God!
The dumbest thing that was ever done was the WCW, which I did love, the two different the triple cage and then the triple ring.
Oh, see, here's the thing. That's stupid. That's stupid. Like from like within the confines of wrestling. Like this is stupid. This is so stupid it affected reality, and I'm pretty sure it eventually killed Dr. Death Steve Williams.
Was it because of Mark Reno? Was that why they did it?
No, it was because Vince Russo didn't like John Bradshaw Layfield, so he set up an entire 16-man boxing tournament to hope that one of the 15 other guys would knock him out.
The bigger question is, how hard were the boards to become a Doctor of Death?
Well, with every other Doctor Death, the Doctor Death from.
Oh my God, that's a joke I'm repeating my friends.
Yeah. He could beat up Dr. Kevorkian.
Yeah.
So imagine you go into like real doctor school and you just fail, and then you become a Dr. Death.
Yes.
Well, you're just really, really good at failing.
Yeah.
If you could get past Mangala, you could.
But like every time he fails, he does it like a pro wrestler. So like instead of just letting a patient die, he like jumps on them and like all their fucking life support stuff shoots out of them.
Oh, in my mind,
splendid, Dr. Williams, you murdered that patient.
He jumps up onto the stretcher and like does a salute.
he somehow does CPR in reverse.
But he still managed to break all their ribs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking about some news, and one of them in the little speed round series we have here. I want to get right to this because I've nearly watched this movie this week, and someone on the show has watched this movie. Hugh Jackman turned down Cats.
Yes.
Why? I wish he didn't.
The guess is that he would have been Idris Elba's part, which is
McCavity.
Well, yeah, that makes the most sense.
Which I would say it would be better because when Idris Elba, if you listen to our episode on it, when he takes off his coat, his fur is his skin tone, kind of.
It looks
Lindsay Ellis, real weird.
Lindsay Ellis makes it a point to say, like, "Oh dear God," she's like, "Why is the character of McCavity the same color as Idris Elba's skin?"
Yeah.
Because it just he looks like a nude Catman.
Yeah, he looks like a naked Catman.
Is that Hugh Jackman's gay, but he's not that gay.
Right.
That's
I also think he did not want to be in a third musical because he was in Les Miserables, and then he was in what was that shitty circus movie?
Actually, here's the funny thing: is like you are invoking Ellis without even realizing it. She covers all this stuff, and she talks about how Les Mis is like Oscar bait, but also pretty much considered to be kind of terrible. And that The Greatest Showman got bad reviews, and people went out and saw it in droves. And accidentally brought the musical back to like the kind of like the front ends, and then like Cats came along and slashed its throat.
I'm sorry. You guys were talking about Les Miserables. I didn't understand what you're talking about with the French name. All right, gotcha. No,
although I know our talks, it would have been amazing to see him because you forget who else is in Cats. Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he goes. Yeah. In a few clips, I've seen him go meow meow meow.
Oh, he has a song. He's Gus the Theater Cat, and he has "Come Fuck Me." Or no, I'm sorry.
What?
Not him. He gets "Come Fuck Me" eyes by what's her name? Dame
Dench.
Jane Judi Dench.
Yeah.
She's laying in a cat bed, staring at him during his musical number.
Which cat is Rum Tugger?
Rum Tum Tugger is. Oh shit! Is that
Jason Derulo?
Yeah, that's Jason Derulo. He has the horniest song in the whole movie. That's the song in our picture where he's in a milk bar where all the cats are staring. The female cats are staring up at him.
What? No! Don't just gloss over milk bar.
And he shoots milk all over them.
Moloko Plus is that what?
What? When is there a little bit of the in-out action? What is going on here?
I think it's Island. If Cats had opened with the opening shot of Clockwork Orange, that would be fantastic. That would be great. Just oh my god.
I'm suddenly imagining like Jason Derulo's like singing his fucking song and like three guys in giant white fucking jumpsuits with underwear outside just beat the fuck out of him.
Well, I was wondering though with Cats, who plays Mr. Mistopheles? Wait! I don't give a shit. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Wait, who gives a fuck?
I'm not sure I know who Mr. Mistopheles is.
He's the magical cat.
I saw
the magical cat.
Yes.
I saw Cats in Chicago when I was like 6. My parents took me to see it,
right?
And it was cool when you're 6.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I have to say about that.
The vibe I get from like the footage I've seen from the play is that like it's visually striking, and it's got really good choreography. But if you try to apply a plot to it or attempt to adapt it, like you're just it's gonna fall the fuck apart.
It has no plot. It's a bunch of musical numbers of these cats explaining who they are. Yeah. And then one of the cats gets to go to quote unquote heaven, but they basically just send them away on a balloon and then they never see them again. So they probably just go and die.
This fucking CGI is dog shit.
I could reenact that in my backyard.
That's Jason Derulo. The other cat is the worst character in the movie.
Every time he jumps, I want to go radical.
See, the most horrifying thing in the movie isn't the cats, CGI wise. It's during Rebel Wilson's song. Right? There are mice.
Is it realizing that parts of your soul are dying?
They have okay, so there's mice with children's faces CGI'd on top of their bodies.
And cockroaches with children's faces.
No, the cockroaches are not as bad because it looks like just people wearing cockroach costumes.
Yeah.
I'm realizing I could reenact this movie in real life with just a whole bunch of like expired cat food and a pellet gun.
Hey, I'm gonna give you a picture. This is not Photoshop. This is how it looks in the film.
Okay.
I can't fucking. Oh my god.
Oh, scrolling.
That looks like something I'd fucking
no.
shoot in Doom.
That
Why
looks
is-
like something I made for the show.
Why does the top picture look like he's looking at his penis?
Because he's staring at Rebel Wilson, who literally unzipped her skin to reveal that she had a glitter dress underneath it.
Okay.
Which she
Cool.
does
Yeah.
multiple times in the movie.
Eric, very rarely do I hear you drop an okay where it's like, please tell me no more.
I say this
Hugh
with
Jackman
saying...
narrowly avoided being in this piece of trash. Good job, Hugh Jackman. Good job.
The only thing I want to add is like a little bit of background about me is that all through middle school and high school, like I was in plays, like I was part of our acting competition team and all this other shit. Inherently, musicals are not meant to be adapted into movies. Like there's a reason why they work on stage and not in celluloid. Stop it. Just fucking stop it right the fuck now.
I'm trying to look. I guess he just didn't do anything instead of doing this. Like he legit, like he's in Missing Link, but that's a voice actor.
That's the correct choice.
He was presented with do cats or do nothing. And he's like, bugger all that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not like he hasn't done
gay in Australia.
Horrible things. Since I was like, I think I was looking through Amazon or Hulu, and the Pan movie that he's in is on there, and I was like, oh, I forgot this existed. Oh god,
man, that's a real movie. Oh my
no.
god, that's a real film.
The only thing I remember from that movie
Hugh Jackman,
is the trailer.
He doesn't need to work ever again.
No, he's got X-Men money until he's fucking dead.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna get more X-Men money when the MCU is like, hey, just come play Wolverine again. Look at that stupid fucking face.
Yeah, and beyond that, like he's got outside of, I mean, because I can't think of anything that he's done that I've been like, wow, you know, that was a real Hugh Jackman, really good role. Like outside of Logan, and Logan was a fucking masterclass. Like,
what do you call it? The one he did with Christian Bale is fantastic. With the magicians.
I really love him in Prisoners.
He was great in Prisoners. All right, never mind. I'm forgetting about those two. But all right, so 2 movies, and let's include Logan. So let's make that 3. And that's really about it when it comes to Hugh Jackman.
When you think about his career, like he was going to be nobody, or he was nobody, and then he was Wolverine, and like, so he rode that train as long as he fucking could.
And good for him.
Well, he tried to do other things. Like I'm looking at his IMDb, it's like, oh yeah, he was in Swordfish, that movie where Halle Berry shows her tits.
He was in Van Helsing, which is a good film.
That was supposed to kick off the one. That was the first kickoff of the Dark Universe.
That was the first modern attempt. I'll give it attempt at a MonsterVerse. I don't think it was that well planned out. I think maybe they would do a sequel with him meeting the Mummy, but I don't know.
I was looking. He was a bunch of animated stuff that never got sequels, like Rise of the Guardians.
Oh God, who's in that?
Rise of the Guardians.
He's the bunny.
No. No. There's the Guardians of Ga'Hoole, and there's Rise of the Guardians. Rise of the Guardians is the one that has all the holiday entities.
Yes, he plays the Easter Bunny.
Gotcha. No, actually, if I remember correctly, that movie wasn't terrible.
Rise of the Guardians is pretty fucking cool. And I don't even mind the Owls of Ga'Hoole, even if it's a little boring in the middle. And
I would say I'm actually surprised his other movie, Real Steel, did not get a sequel, because I think that's not bad.
No, that is good.
I think he's been in a bunch of movies that people have just forgotten.
The problem is he's in 17 X-Men movies, so it's like he does 2 movies in an X-Men movie.
Yeah.
No, Real Steel is actually good, and it's based on a Richard Matheson story. So it is. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I forgot about that because I went.
He was
I think that came out and people were like, "Wow, they made a Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie." Pass.
Except it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's really good.
Rocky with Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
It's really good. It's really good. I never saw it, but Eddie and the Eagle was supposed to be really good, or Eddie the Eagle. That was supposed to be really good, actually.
Not sure which one that is.
That's the one where Taron Egerton plays the not paraplegic, but
the skier jumper.
Yeah. I never saw it. I heard good things though. So, and then he was in that movie about Gary Hart last year, 2018. Yeah, The Front Runner, which I actually really liked. It was sort of a throwback political drama.
If you go back to Prestige though, I think Prestige is an old because he doesn't really play a bad guy too often, and in that movie he plays someone who loses his way so fucking hard. That by the end of it,
there
when
isn't
he
a hero
like,
in that movie. Yeah.
Well, by the end of it, you're like, you fucking deserve that. Like, you haven't done a decent thing in a long time, and like you were so devoted to destroying this other guy, and that guy was like, yeah, I've surpassed you in every way. So,
but that movie also has like some of the greatest actors of all time in it.
Yeah, and some of the best casting of all time.
Yeah,
yes.
I was like, oh, I forgot Andy Serkis is in this movie.
Yep.
I was like, all I remember is Hugh Jackman, Bale, Michael Caine, and David fucking Bowie.
When David Bowie walks out of the electricity, you're like, oh my god, god.
It's like I've been waiting for this for years.
Scarlett Johansson, Rebecca Hall, like everybody in that movie is awesome. Also, I always get like distracted by the ending momentarily because I'm like, wouldn't a giant lobby full of drowned Hugh Jackmans just all smell so bad?
But they're in sealed tanks and they have blind guys pushing them around.
Yeah, but still, it's moisture. Like, it's gonna fucking...
It's hermetically sealed.
Well, I don't know. Well, hermetically sealed in the 1800s is a little bit different than the 20th century. So let's
anyways, this is turned into Let's Analyze Hugh Jackman.
Joker was almost Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, Jared Leto had a bat suit. Does that? No, I'm kidding.
God.
No. So yeah, during the Aronofsky days, a period that nobody talks about.
Yeah, back when he was the hot shit.
Mm-hmm. He was working on a Batman film. And I'm
pretty sure, wasn't it supposed to be like year one?
It was supposed to be a version of it. Like the script that they made, it eventually became Batman Begins. It turned into Begins over time.
I'm telling you
quite
right
a bit
now,
of rewriting.
I'm telling you right now, I don't think there's ever going to be a time period that idea for a Batman movie would have ever landed. Because I think it's too fucking weird.
Yeah, it's too much of a overreaction to the way Robin was received. Yeah.
Well, it's also, I think, like, it was Aronofsky at the height of his power, because this was post Requiem for a Dream, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. So
where
he
was. I was just saying, where was Joaquin? That's the Joker we're referring to. Where was he in his career?
Joaquin was.
Joaquin has always had that thing where he's like, he's respected even if he isn't doing a whole lot.
Well, he had already banged out Gladiator and Signs at that point, hadn't he?
Yeah, I was just saying, I feel like it's like right after that. So that's him at the height of his kind of mainstream powers.
He
is a weird pick, though. He's a weird pick at that time.
He is. But yeah, I mean, the studio being like, let's give the Batman film to Aronofsky. It's like, have you guys seen Pi? Do you know what you're doing here? So when I first heard about it, I was just like, I think it's a bold choice, but I don't think it's a good choice.
And I think what's really funny about how things turned out is that, like, that idea with Batman does not work. However, when you take the same kind of approach with Joker, somehow the guy who made the Hangover movies pushed a decent film out of that idea.
Sure.
And in the director of what is the director of the Hangover and Joker's name? I can't remember it.
Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips.
He also directed the G.G. Allen documentary. People forget that a lot.
Yeah.
So he has a little bit of credibility that I forgot about.
He somehow took because that Batman script is like, let's suck all the stuff that people know about Batman and let's just ground it in hyper realism. And make everything
subvert expectations.
Yeah, subvert all expectations, and and that doesn't fucking work because Batman on paper is ridiculous. But then when you do that with Joker, you're like, you can take out him being dropped into a vat of chemicals and still create a story where it's like, oh yeah, a city's the infrastructure of a city could absolutely create someone like that without the need to go all sci-fi comic booky.
I think it's the basis of what we think of how we think about these characters. We don't really think of Joker in this based in reality sense because he's already removed from it. He's removed from our reality so that you can put him basically anywhere. You can put him into any skin and he'll kind of work. Whereas Batman, there's a certain expectation that you have with Batman about what he looks like and it can only be moved and changed so much.
Yeah. And he has to be white because I refuse to
True.
accept anyone else being that.
Exactly.
No, I was gonna say though, like it's kind of cute thinking about like how much Joker, like people like, oh, it's subversive and blah blah blah. I mean, I haven't seen it yet. I'm willing to give it a try, even though I'm still kind of like, I don't.
It
know.
is. Here's the thing, like I was pretty much in the mindset of like DC's fucking dead to me.
Yeah.
As far as movies go, and I sat there, I'm like, this is exactly what I like. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it, and didn't really know what I wanted out of it. But because it wasn't this like giant stupid affair that was trying to create a franchise or doing stupid shit, like it's very, very like I would say it's simplistic, and because it's pulling from like very blatant inspirations, like you're not really expecting too much, but then when it succeeds in small areas, you're like, that was really fucking good. And also the performances elevate every goddamn thing in the movie.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, Lou. Go ahead. Lou,
I was just saying, like, to add my 2 cents into like kind of a review of it. Like, I think it's a very good film. I think it would be better if it wasn't titled The Joker and had nothing to do with DC Comics.
Well,
that's also fair. Yeah.
My bigger point was going to be like, with everything that was going on at the time a year ago, it seems really quaint that the Joker seems so subversive, because I goddamn guarantee you right now there's a whole bunch of incels that are just planning out how they're going to become the Joker with all this time they're getting to spend inside.
That's the thing, though, and like this, like there's a bunch of fear mongering around when it came out. Like, oh, it's gonna aggrandize incels, it's gonna motivate them, and blah blah blah. The reality is, like, that movie does not paint Arthur as a grounded human being, and very blatantly paints him as someone who has no grip on fucking reality.
Well, I'm speaking more about the idea that like the inequity within the world and how the rich will create things like this based on their treatment of the lower classes. But now it's just like, well, we've got a whole bunch of people who are sitting inside and they're just plotting and plotting and plotting.
I feel like that stuff isn't really what the movie is about. At least what I took from it was like more of like a look on the mental health care system.
Well, once again, that still can reflect on
and they make it a point because right in the beginning, like he's seeing a doctor and she's like, the city cut like all of our funding, like this is the last time you're going to see me. And he's like, how do I get medication? And she's like, I don't know, and it's not my concern anymore.
I can't. She's like, I can't help you. I don't even have a job really anymore.
Yeah,
it's also like fully realized throughout the film.
But there's also like there's also stuff like there's also stuff like his like. It's not just they're wealthy, like it's everybody. And like the one thing I like about the movie a lot is that it does do a decent job of characterizing Gotham City as an absolute fucking shithole.
It looks like New York of the 70s.
In that city, please drag me across the city limits so I don't say I was found dead in Gotham City.
Well, that's the thing. It's like
eaten by rats.
It's New York of like the 70s or the 60s. It's that
where you don't want to go to Times Square because
they said there's like a waste management strike going on, so there's just trash piled up everywhere.
To steer us back to the main point of this speed round, quote unquote, area, does anybody think that Joaquin could have been a good Batman?
No, I don't think he's. No, I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think he's like. So I haven't seen, what is that movie? You're Not Really There. I Was Not Really There.
I'm Not Really Here.
I'm Not Really Here. I haven't seen that yet, but to me, Joaquin Phoenix is not a burly, intimidating, like fucking weapon of a man.
You need to watch You Were Not Really Here.
See, and that's why that's why I put that out there, because
he kills a guy with a hammer. Like
because I hear in that movie he's basically like Frank Castle. But like. I don't know, there's something about his presence that seems to lean more towards like the actual maniac than the soft maniac who beats up the other maniac.
I'm trying to think. Have anybody seen We Own the Night?
No.
But I know what movie it is.
Yeah, it's like an 07 Joaquin. That's like the one, because I haven't seen the other movie either. And he's kind of like a nebbishy character in the beginning who then becomes kind of a badass in it.
Right.
And I think he could do, because it's not, my other thing is like, you don't have to play Batman. You're playing Bruce Wayne. The suit plays Batman.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so here's the thing. In a world where this movie actually got made, and it's Aronofsky through and through working on the movie, and it's him and Phoenix, I could see an interesting what if movie coming out of this. And I could see Phoenix doing a good job and even getting praise for it. I don't see this movie being successful or being a movie that people like.
Yeah, I'm looking at the wiki of it, like the fandom wiki and like the clips from it's like, this seems ridiculous of an idea.
Like, what it reminds me of the most of a movie that actually came out is Fanforstic. That's what it feels like to me. And I think this movie would have gotten taken away from them at some point and reshot in the back half, and it would just not be a good film altogether.
Well, I mean, the thing I read about was the way that Batman was going to beat the Joker was ass to ass.
What is he, Duke Nukem now? What was that?
No,
oh, you don't remember that?
Requiem?
Requiem for a Dream, the ending?
I've seen it, but like that was such a fucking like.
That's like one of the most famous scenes in movie history.
Oh, you don't remember the guy doing the voice? Yeah, isn't there like an MC there?
I remember, but it didn't quite sound like Duke Nukem in my head.
No. There's an old man who tosses her money. I fall out of bones.
Isn't it her psychiatrist or whatever?
Something like that. Like it's
those alien assholes are gonna pay for shooting up my ride.
Funny little fact is it's the guy who hands her the money and says ass to ass is the same guy who is whistling on the subway in Pi, which I don't know how many of you remember Pi, but there's a just nice old gentleman whistling a song on the subway when the character is losing his mind going someplace, probably to talk to his Hasidic friend about the nature of numbers and whatnot. But it's a real weird juxtaposition to be like, oh, this sweet old man who's just whistling and having a nice day on the subway and then is throwing Jennifer Connelly money and telling her to go ass to ass with some woman in Requiem for a Dream. Anyways.
I just want to say, like, looking through this thing, like, the changes are just so. I think it's even beyond Fanforstic. Like, having
like John said, it's a gross overreaction.
Yeah.
Well, it's trying to like this was supposed to come out in what, like late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, I think this would have been around 2004 when Begins came out. Like, I think that from the sound of the article, they were going to go into production with this version of the movie, but then there was disagreement about Phoenix or Freddie Prinze. And that seemed to be like the breaking point in why
Freddie Prinze Jr. Wow, what a weird.
Yeah,
he is a big comic book fan, and he's been like connected to a bunch because he auditioned. He was
Lexi's choice for
Punisher Warzone for Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Yes.
Holy shit!
Do you not remember this? Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember this because this had to get made. They said like, yeah, we wanted Freddie Prinze Jr. to like the audition. No, we just wanted him. It doesn't matter. Like,
no. She said, I think you were like mixed. They pushed her on him. He auditioned. She loved him, and they're like, no, we didn't actually want him in. We just wanted to give him an audition.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then Dominic West came in and he did this fucking his cartoony arm swing walk, and he was like, hey, applesauce, and they're like, you're hired.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's
So you had this next story. I don't know what the fuck this says. I don't know what this means.
You don't know Stellar Skateboard?
Who the fuck is Stellar Skateboard?
Think about it. Take a second. Sound it out in your mind.
We were just talking about it. It's Stellar Skateboard is a bit from How Did This Get Made? That's their name for Stellan Skarsgård.
Oh,
it comes from the Deep Blue Sea episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So Stellan Skarsgård, he's going to be in the Rogue One spinoff series. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I don't know what he's gonna be.
You think it's a sequel? He survived.
No, it could be about Mon Mothma organizing spies. That's how you do a sequel. You do Mon Mothma doing James Bond shit, just like sending people to do missions and shit.
The thing is, right now with Disney Star Wars, like it wouldn't shock me if they were just like, yeah, Rogue One never happened, and he's fine. And who's Jyn Erso? We have no idea who that is. She's been retconned into Legends now.
And now here's this monster from Life Force.
Yeah, here's this fucking spider squid who's gonna tell you to suck the fucking. Oh no, I'm sorry. You're talking about that other thing.
Yes.
I was talking about Tor Valen, the Trevorrow thing. Yeah, I still can't explain that scene in Rogue One where Whitaker's like jacking off to Bodhi Rook getting sucked on by a squid.
I
have nothing to say. Holy shit!
Do you not remember that scene, Erik?
I saw that movie once.
You blocked out.
Okay.
Oh god.
There's a fucking scene in that movie where Whitaker as what is his name? Saw Gerrera?
Saw Gerrera, yes.
Saw Gerrera is interrogating Bodhi Rook, who is an ex-Imperial pilot, and he's interrogating him by sitting there and letting a giant CGI slimy squid crawl all over his head, and Forrest Whitaker's like,
I vaguely remember.
Oh god, we'll find the truth.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it.
Saw Gerrera, the somehow strangely most defined character in the Star Wars universe now.
Junkyard McGee.
He's in that movie, 2 cartoon shows, and a video game.
Yeah, he has the longest on-screen time, I think,
of any character. Yeah.
It's him, Luke, and Vader. Wow.
Jesus Christ.
And what is it? And was it a specific roster of Django clones, right? Have popped up like a dozen times now?
Yes. It's the group from Clone Wars. There's 3 of them because they're in Clone Wars and Rebels. And they officially made a character in Return of the Jedi, one of them.
What?
Yes, they did.
You have not heard this?
No.
Yeah, there is in Return of the Jedi when they're on Andor, there is a character that looks like one of the characters from when he's in Rebels. Because they're old in Rebels. And they're like, yeah, we designed that character on purpose to look like that. It's the same guy.
Well, Filoni did that a lot, though. Like,
yeah,
I've told you my theory. Callus is meant to be one of the rebels in the background in New Hope. I'm sure of that at this point. Because they give him these insane mutton chops by the end of his story arc that match one of the rebels in the background. So yeah, pretty sure he's canon there.
There's a lot of it seems like there's a lot of that going on, but it's all very subtle between like the marriage of like Star Wars TV and Star Wars film. Because I guess in Rise of Skywalker the Rebels ship was present.
Yes,
the ghosts.
The ghosts.
Well, to hammer down even further, like the ice cream maker from Empire Strikes Back, when everybody's evacuating Cloud City, that is the thing that in The Mandalorian has the money that he's going to pay the Mandalorian.
Oh my god, it is.
Yep. Because I saw that right away. I'm like, holy shit, they found a way to put that thing in here. Good on you, Jon Favreau.
Also, I guess in the end of Rise of Skywalker, one of the voices that you hear is it's Ahsoka.
You hear both
Ahsoka, yeah. It's
you hear the actress who does Ahsoka, and you also hear
Ezra?
No, not Ezra. Kanan.
You do hear both of them. No, you do hear Ezra also. Ezra's also, but Kanan is also one of the voices.
That's
you hear Ezra Miller choking someone out?
Oh my god! He's like, you want to go, Ray? And he like jumps out and like chokeslams her.
Yeah. Anyways, on the story that we were, so Stellan Skarsgård's gonna play like a evil Imperial something or other. He's
a Moff.
Yeah. The only reason I haven't commented on the show yet because like it's so nebulous and they're just like it's a thing. I'm like, show me pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, do they have it in production at all? Like,
no.
That doesn't mean anything right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This has I assume Skarsgård is playing somebody evil.
Yeah. Have we even talked about Rosario Dawson casting?
Oh yeah,
was that for this or was that for Mandalorian?
That was for Mandalorian.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, she was cast,
but as Ahsoka,
correct?
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like that's going to tie into what I know is happening at the end of this most recent season of Rebels. I feel like there's going to be a tie into that.
Oh, you have not finished. Are you talking about Clone Wars or Rebels?
Or Clone Wars, yes.
Yeah. Well, because Rebels takes place later, but
I know.
Yeah,
I confuse them because they're both animated.
Yes. But like, yeah, we never get to really know what happens, and her presence in Rebels is awesome, and she loves the character. So
yeah, well, I've seen like previews or something, teasers for Clone Wars, and they're very heavily setting up the Siege of Mandalore, for the current season of Clone Wars. So I feel like we'll see that scene where he gets saved by the Mandalorians.
That would be. Here's the thing: Clone Wars is like the newest Star Wars anime thing I'm considering watching because I've tried the original Clone Wars, didn't like it. I tried the original CGI Clone Wars, didn't like it. I really don't like Rebels.
Really?
I don't. I find Rebels to be boring, kiddie trite. I'm sorry.
I completely understand that because the first season
is very good. That.
It is.
It's not.
Here's the things I like about Rebels, and I can count them on one hand. I think these things I think the show did wonderfully. Darth Maul, because I've seen clips of that. Qui-Gon Jinn returning and having Liam fucking Neeson voice him. Excuse me.
What else is he doing?
I mean, yeah, but like to have him come back and commune with Anakin was nuts. Not Anakin, Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan killing Darth Maul with a single move. And
this is all last season Rebels.
This is the Ashoka versus Vader stuff.
That's the second to last season.
Okay, yeah, because she fucking kicks his ass, and he's suddenly like for a second he's like, "Whoa, what am I doing?" And she's like, "Anakin." He's like, "Ha ha, I gotcha."
That's
he doesn't. It's the show gets better in the second and third season.
It grows with the age of its audience, and like it drops so much lore into what it's a great. If you want to know how the Empire kind of transitions post the prequels, it's a very good show of explaining that and how the rebellion is built up. Because Leia's in the show, Lando's in the show, voiced by Billy T.
They got Billy T. Williams to hang around set and not drink too much.
Well, in a recording studio, and then it brings in like Thrawn, who's fucking awesome. Thrawn. Sorry, I was trying to get Connor to watch. He also has red eyes.
I go into that and like, where is he? Where not just ignore the fact that he's a Warner Bros. DC character. I'm like, why isn't he here?
They are very similar, I will say. Their interpretation in the show, at least, they do similar things. They have that same scheming, playing chess, many moves ahead of you.
I'm never not planning kind of face.
Yeah, he has that where it's like he's making up a plan so that he can find out what your plan is, just so that he can undermine it.
I got a backup plan, and then I got a backup plan to back up the backup plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Star Wars TV. There's a lot of it coming.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah,
eventually. Yeah, a lot of Marvel TV coming too, but we're still waiting for all that shit.
Fuck's sake.
So Stellan Skarsgård, he's going to be in that Star Wars show, but you know what? He's also in Dune.
Yes.
So is everybody.
I mean, here's the thing, Arlen, you're in Dune, and Erik, you're in Dune. Lou, you're in Dune, and also I am in Dune.
I play one of the sandworm's teeth.
Yes.
I play a grain of sand
because I have dark skin.
Well, you'd be one of the Freemen. Yeah.
I play David Lynch's character from the 82 movie, 83 movie. I can't remember.
So what is the name that directors use when they don't want to be credited for a film? David Smithy
Alan Smithy.
Alan Smithy. That's it. Yeah.
Well, no, he's in like a scene. He's like a guy measuring spice. I don't know if you remember this, but he's like a random cutaway that they do. He's like down in a boiler room with the guy who plays he's the guy in white hair who's always fishing in Twin Peaks. They're down in like a boiler room, like looking at spice amounts. And
okay. See, that's the thing. Like recently, because the pictures for what was it, Vanity Fair popped up, and I was like, maybe I want to buy a copy of Dune like digitally. And then I saw how much it was. I'm like, I don't want to buy a copy of Dune digitally. And it's like $12. Yes. I enjoy the original, the Lynch Dune. Like for all its faults, like that's what I grew up being like, oh, that's Dune. And then I read the book. I'm like, oh, that's not Dune at all. But like I still enjoy the movie for a lot of things it does correctly. Plus, you get Patrick Stewart, like the slow blade penetrates, and things along those lines. Like, it's great. It's great. It's fun. It's a ridiculous, over the top, like sci-fi Lynch action film. It's got Sting in like a weird armored bikini bottom. Like, it's bizarre.
So
I think any reason to put Kyle MacLachlan on screen is a good reason. So
yes, that too.
And he's like 16 or something at this point, so it's very like early Kyle.
It's just, the other reason I didn't buy it is because they don't have a digital copy of like the director's cut and the original cut together, and I'm like, I'm not gonna spend $12 if I can't have both of those.
I did not realize Charlotte Rampling is in the new Dune.
Yeah,
everybody is.
When are you
everybody
gonna
is
get
in the new Dune.
We're all in. We're living Dune right now. Okay.
Yeah, we kind of don't walk in weird rhythmic patterns so the worms don't find you. Shai Hulud will treat you well. Yeah, I personally, like, I've read the first 3 Dune books multiple times, and I am so excited for this movie.
I've downloaded the audiobook, and I have to.
I saw
my James Bond book.
I've seen Dune once, and like I can barely remember it, but like I also was kind of like entering my teens as like Children of Dune was kind of a
was the Sci-Fi Channel one.
I mean, the Sci-Fi Channel adaptation is actually a better adaptation of the stories, but it's a sci-fi budget, and there are definitely like concessions made because of that fact. Like,
it was, however, made when Sci-Fi Channel was arguably good.
Yeah, back
so
before they were,
like lines up with stuff you remember clearly, because like there was a period of time where like Sci-Fi was producing pretty decent TV.
Yeah, it's back before they became Sci-Fi. Like, they were actually SCI-FI. Yeah. No, like, Dune is a really great story, and I hope this movie gets a lot more people to read the book, because the book is absolutely phenomenal, and it's ridiculous how densely it's packed.
This still looks like it's at a fucking hardware Mark 13. Like, it looks like the dude sells the fucking robot head to what's his face.
What are you talking about? Are you talking about Leto Atreides?
No, he's got a picture of Lynch's character down here, and he looks like
a
13.
He's covered in spice. He's just like
melange.
He's down there. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Looks like he's wearing a fucking bald eagle on his crotch.
Yep. God, it's just because Lynch is so young, and that I forgot that's what he looked like when he was a younger man, because he's always just been that white-haired maniac.
These pictures from this movie are hilarious. Just look at this one of Kyle MacLachlan.
Oh no.
my God.
That is Arlen, that's the fucking show art. That's the deepest V I've ever seen in my life.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm super excited for Dune, but that's also because I have years of having read it. I don't know what you guys are thinking about what we've seen of these pictures so far, because everything is exactly what I want it to be so far.
It looks like a Villeneuve movie, so I mean, that excites me that it still looks like it's one of his films. And then every design choice that they've made so far, I agree with. I can't really say anything against any of it so far. It's really cool. And I've always been into this cast and these casting choices, but they look like they are the characters. Like, they feel like these characters, and these characters feel lived in an interesting way. I'm into it. This is a lot of people who I would have watched in anything at this point.
Yeah.
You know, Rebecca Ferguson is one of those actresses where whatever she does, she has me. I'm in. And same with Chalamet, and even I cannot remember her name, but Mary Jane from the
Zendaya
films.
Yeah.
Zendaya,
that was actually going to be something I said, was that, like, I'm excited to see her in a serious role, because she's impressed me with both Spider-Man films, like, and I really want to see her, like, have a role that she can really sink her teeth into, like that. As much as I love the Spider-Man films, like, this is going to be a different level.
Yeah, well, that's like also, the cast.
I remember
is
Momoa from earlier in his career, and he impressed me.
Teen Wolf, or are you talking about Stargate?
No, he was never in Teen Wolf, but Stargate. Yeah, Stargate, and he
Oh, I thought maybe you were talking about Baywatch.
No, but like he impressed me because he had some serious chops. I thought, even based off of Stargate. So it was like, why is he doing a really good job in this show where nobody needs to do a good job?
I think he's awesome as Khal Drogo, and like his presence alone is like magnetic. You can't take your eyes off him.
Sure, but he's hidden by like the accent and the outfit and all that.
No, what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is like when you still notice him underneath all that, you're like, all right, that guy's fucking special.
Yeah, but this feels like a chance for him to like. This is the Momoa that I started out knowing. Like, I think the Momoa that we have now is kind of like a wrestler in a way.
Which is good to like say like Batista's also in this.
Well,
I almost choked on a Sobe. Holy shit.
I'm trying to remember. Isn't Momoa playing Duncan Idaho?
Yes,
Swordmaster.
I'm looking at the IMDb.
Duncan has a pretty big role throughout the next two books. I never finished the last three from Herbert Sr. But if these movies do well, if the first two Dune movies do well, I really hope they do the sequels because Duncan Idaho takes a much bigger role going forward.
I would say I'm kind of excited for this because I really like when, especially in the Hollywood system, they stop to think about like, let's do a giant, expensive, just lore-ridden, like over-the-top, heavy genre pick. Like where everything is hyper fucking serious. And
I feel like they're
ridiculous.
I feel like they're always trying to do that, and it just we only remember when it works or when it really doesn't work.
Well, it's because like you can name on like a handful, like like Lord of the Rings, cool.
Yeah.
Matrix, not so much.
I got 3 movies. But like I'm also
that
like
doesn't mean they were good.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean.
Really liked them. Yeah.
When they tried, what was it, Golden Compass? When like De Niro was in that.
God.
Yeah.
I think it was Stardust,
but also thing. But also like it like Dune has a certain scale where you're like, wow, you're gonna fucking do that? I'm all in.
Right.
I also think it's the end of the Skywalker Star Wars stuff kind of leaves an opening in that sci-fi fantasy world.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and it leaves a lot of people who are pissed off who are looking for something new too.
And I think there's also a certain amount,
the Witcher phenomenon.
I think there's also a certain amount of, I don't want to say arrogance, but that's the best word I can use for it within like the studio system that like for so many years we've been told that like Dune can't be made into a film series, and it's people continually trying to figure out how to adapt it properly and be like, yes, we can.
Several quote unquote unfilmable properties have become films in the last like 30 years.
Sure.
Yeah,
and
I mean, Lord of the Rings set like that.
Lord of the Rings, Watchmen. I still say the Watchmen movie is a pretty good adaptation. Whether you like the movie or not, it's fine. But like, they're like Watchmen's unfilmable. Yeah, even then, that speaks to it too, because like, not only just want to make a movie to Watchmen, so made a fucking sequel to the Watchmen comic book, and it's awesome.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about you, Doomsday Clock. Piece of shit comic book that nobody even talks about anymore. Fuck you.
No, tell us how you really feel.
So angry at that book. Mostly because like every time I go to my shelf and like the 2 copies I have of the Button are there, I'm like, worthless.
Quick side note. I was reading, and mind you, it's Reddit, so take it with a grain of salt. But there was somebody who had a very convincing theory on why a lot of things have been delayed and changed within DC based around Doomsday Clock. Like, there could be some reasons why Tom King isn't writing Batman outside of management assholery and whatnot. Like that, there are some things. Yes, but this person presented some very reasonable and well thought out ideas on why things are going the way they're going within the DC universe. That's all I'm saying.
The comic book universe specifically,
yes,
right?
Yes, not the movies.
Ooh.
Never the movies, because the
movies
are terrible.
Please send those to me, because I want to.
All right, I'll have to find it on Reddit again. So good luck on that.
I did see real quick. I did see a headline saying Wonder Woman 1984 is going to maintain the Batman vs Superman continuity. I was like, have fun with that. Have fun with Ben Affleck never showing up again,
or Henry Cavill,
Cavill.
Didn't what's her name even say like she's not even sure how it's even a sequel?
they did the thing that Watchmen was doing, where David Lindelof was like, "Well, it's not a sequel, it's not a remake, it's not an adaptation, it's not really a prequel. It's
they have to because I feel like
it's a
if they say what it is, then it's like, oh, well, that explains how Steve Trevor is there. Because he's obviously Steve Trevor from World War One.
The trailer already explains it. It's magic shenanigans.
It's Zeus. It's very obviously that Zeus saved him, but whatever. That's beside
maybe it's your grandfather.
That doesn't have anything to do with Dune. Anyways,
exactly.
Yeah, so we're all, I guess, excited for Dune just because. I mean, that cast makes me so excited for all of it, and the director
and everything.
Yeah.
I hope David Lynch returns as the spice operator.
I give David Lynch a cameo. Give it to him.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had things just to have them.
Yeah.
Sting ain't doing shit. Just kill him. Throw him to a little farm.
It's not like that movie is unloved. People do love that movie. Yeah. And not doing a cameo.
Sting's fucking cod pieces framed on someone's wall.
Or just have Kyle MacLachlan show up as a scientist who's like, I have these weirding, you idiot.
Can I just say
because
and he's like, have you ever heard of Tibet?
Real quick, just to give you an idea, in the Dune novels, the weirding modules, the voice activated used prominently in the movie, don't exist. Those are completely a Lynch creation.
Wait, hold on, those weird fucking headpieces they have, where they stick in their nose and ears?
No, that's the Freeman or Fremen still suits.
Okay. I always assumed that the weirding modules were kind of a creation because it felt like. Because do they not have blasters in the books?
they have knives and guns, but it's also that because Paul is the chosen one, he Muad'Dib, all that, he has powers that are beyond normal man. But no, the voice activated weapons don't exist in the books at all.
Yeah, so it felt like their way of doing, because I think that there's a mindset that studio execs have at the time where it's like, well, Star Wars has the blasters and there are lasers and Star Trek, so we have to have
you say that, but that was a real thing as far as I know, is people in Hollywood were like, okay, well, how do we have lasers without being threatened by Lucasfilm? And a lot, that's how you get weird things like the Battlestar Galactica laser blast, which are you see a muzzle flash and then something just explodes.
Oh yeah, that checks out. So
hey, it's another show that they're rebooting.
Wait, hold on. Whoa! That's getting another fucking reboot.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, just fucking kill it already.
Well, I had a critically acclaimed series and a prequel.
I can't. I can't remember who's producing it, but
it's somebody of some repute.
Are they connected to Mormonism? Because I need to know.
No.
It was somebody where I was like, okay, if it's that person, I might not be against it. But anyways, Dune, are the hologram, not hologram, force field suits from the movie all a thing from the book, or is that another movie?
I can't remember that exactly. I think they might be, but I don't quote me on that because I have the book upstairs and I've been meaning to pick it up because it's not like I have a whole lot to do right now. So
Right.
Can I bring up one thing though that can connect us to the next thing?
Oh.
Do you guys remember that Kyle MacLachlan's in the MCU?
What?
Oh yes, he is. He's
as Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
Oh God.
He was in 2 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh God, he was.
It's made me consider going and watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because
he's actually really good, and he's really good in some of the worst seasons of that show because he's in there when they
was doing the Battlestar reboot. Okay, that's why I was into it. That's why I was for it. Okay, never mind. Sorry about that.
But he's in the seasons when they introduce the Inhumans because he's what's her name's dad. He's Quake's dad.
I've seen images of this on Tumblr because
when he transforms into Mr. Hyde, it is fucking hilarious. It's so bad. But him as the regular person is great. It's Kyle MacLachlan, except he's kind of all over the place and manic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Kyle MacLachlan. He really likes coffee, and
stop describing Agent Dale Cooper.
So
I will not.
You know who's in those movies that I didn't realize till I Googled is Thunder from Black Lightning.
Oh.
She is in I can't remember. She's in like I think the newer series.
Yeah.
Nefessa Williams.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, that's right. She's Blank Gives Two Rides. I can't remember her name.
Oh shit, she's Jade Give Two Rides.
Yes, Jade Gives Two Rides.
She's a prostitute that Kyle MacLachlan wakes up after he comes back.
I know she's naked in the movie.
Yeah, she's because she's fucking one of Dale's doppelgangers. Yes, she's Jade.
And then Cooper gets his body back like right after they fuck, and he has a different haircut. He's skinnier and is on the floor next to some Garbanzola. And she's like
brain dead. He's
he is a fucking vegetable for the next 16 episodes of that show.
She's like, all right, I guess I'll do it again.
She's like, is Jade gonna have to give you 2 rides? He just looks up and goes, Jade, give 2 rides.
Let's reel it back to what Lou's attempt at a segue was. So
this headline should be called, "Hey Arlen, eat a bag of shit."
Hey, can I say that it was absolutely impossible for him to be?
Let's retcon your comments.
No, here's the thing. I was just very skeptical. I wasn't. I mean, I still don't.
I believe your words were, "This won't happen."
Yep.
I probably did say that because I really didn't think it would happen. But it doesn't mean that I'm not happy that it is happening.
Arlen's like, he'll get fired. You watch.
Backpedal.
I'm not backpedaling. Here's the thing. A lot of things I do are bits, and you guys just don't recognize them for the bits that they are.
Okay.
That's your good
Alex Jones, my character, is a character and can't be upheld in court.
No, you just had a lot of chili that day.
God damn it, you beat me to it. God damn it.
Sorry. I do have to say, one of my favorite parts of
the character of Arlen Harrow cannot be held responsible for the actions of Arlen Harrow.
One of my favorite bits of this is that what's his name has already taken to Twitter and been like, all right, who do you guys think I should play in this movie?
Bruce Campbell. Yes, he's already asking. God damn it, Bruce. God damn it.
I really want to play a villain. Who do you think I should be?
To get past dragging Arlen, I'm 100% excited for this.
How are you like? Here's the thing: if you're a fan of superhero movies and you're a fan of horror movies, like, how do you not get stupidly excited?
Right? Yeah.
He made Darkman.
How are you not excited about this combination?
Right. Yeah. How can you look at this combination and say to yourself, "Oh, it's just going to be a boring Marvel movie that has no creative flair to it whatsoever"? How could you ever say that about this film before having seen it?
And here's the thing: like that kind of skepticism should be completely unfounded, because like you don't hire Sam Raimi to just phone it in unless you're asking to make Oz the Great and Powerful.
And to touch on the thing that Arlen was gently tiptoeing around. All right, so there's a certain subsection of film fans that complain about Marvel films not letting directors do their thing. Mm-hmm. Hey, guess the fuck what? Marvel has a bigger plan going on here. So maybe they don't want to let film auteurs go all fucking auteur on their shit.
Maybe you don't want to have a Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams situation where you have two directors with completely opposing film philosophies and stylistic choices and story decisions, and put them in a trilogy together, and then have to backpedal for your final entry because people are upset.
Yeah.
Yep. Maybe when all of your films make $1 billion, you just squash the haters with your wallet.
Yep.
That too. Also, let's also squash something else. If creative flair didn't matter, then Thor Ragnarok would have fucking happened. If creative flair didn't matter, the Avengers wouldn't have been as good as it is because Joss Whedon was firing all cylinders in those fucking movies.
Yeah. On the opposite side of that, if creative freedom did matter, then Thor: The Dark World would be a beloved film.
Yeah. And let's not forget that the Russo brothers came in and didn't just pick up the fucking baton, they redefined the rest of the saga with their.
Oh, they took over the whole thing.
Their ideas, like they steered the ship from that point forward. They fixed Iron Man. They fucking they fixed Thanos. Didn't fix Thanos. They created Thanos that we have now. And helped lay the foundations.
Work on screen, I would say.
They fixed Captain America in many ways.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
they brought him in the modern world. Yeah.
And prioritize other characters who then became like Scarlet Witch.
They fixed her.
I don't think Scarlet Witch would have been a big deal if the Russos hadn't been around, because they seem to love that character and made a point. Of
I don't think we would have gotten Scarlet Witch and Vision. I don't think that would have been a thing without them. Honestly.
No. Yeah. And there's probably more individual choices like Jon Favreau, Shane Black. Shane Black's influenced all over Iron Man 3. James Gunn. James fucking Gunn. Are you kidding me with this?
Yeah.
It's there's a lot of people that are upset that Edgar Wright didn't get to do his thing with Ant-Man. And you know what? I understand both points of view when it comes down to the corporate end of it. Like, Edgar Wright is like, well, no, I didn't want to be part of this larger thing. I wanted to do this idea. And Marvel / Disney is like, no, we're making a series of films here. We want to do this.
Yeah, and if I'm Marvel and I have, here's my map, and you're at point B right now, we need to get to point D, and we cannot deviate from this path. And Edgar Wright was like, what if I deviate a little bit? No.
Also, there's a lot of other things. He signed on to do that movie when earlier phase of everything. Like, they were a baby still. They weren't really where they are or where they were when that movie came out. And I know that the official line is that there were creative differences stemming from all that stuff. But remember, this is also the same period that Ike was still far more in charge.
Yeah, his gigantic finger.
Yeah. And this is only a movie or so removed from Ike, not allowing Rebecca Hall from being the Mandarin. So it could have been any number of things, not just not allowing Edgar Wright to do his thing that could have caused that relationship to crumble.
Regardless, I think Sam Raimi is an amazing choice. I mean, I would have loved to have seen what Scott Derrickson was going to do, but I'm 100% on for Sam Raimi, and I hope it's horror Sam Raimi that's doing that.
Well, that's what I was saying.
I hope it's Spider-Man 2 Sam Raimi who comes in and is like, I have such sights to show you.
I don't necessarily want. I want now Sam Raimi. I want what's his thing? He hasn't directed in 10 years at this point. By the time
I am excited for for Sam Raimi being let out of the can, so to speak. He just gets up and cracks his knuckles. He's like, all right, you fucking punks.
Well, I mean, it just looking back on Drag Me to Hell, my wife and I saw that in the theaters, and we're like, holy shit! This is a return to form for him.
That movie is fucking insane, and I love the endings to that movie so much because it is off its fucking rocker.
But it's got all of the hallmarks of a Sam Raimi film in it, and it shows that he's just like, oh, hey, I'm back. Hey, bitches, look at this. This is a new story, but I'm still going to be Sam Raimi, and I'm going to Raimi it the fuck up. So here we go.
Yeah. And he doesn't relent until the credits roll in that movie.
Right.
There's not a scene that goes by where you're not where something isn't just hitting you in the face.
Yeah, and I can't believe for a second they would hire him on and be like, well, you got to tone it down.
Now, walk a very fine line, sir.
Can I just say, what's interesting is they're hiring him after they've already announced the title of the movie.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of because I'm looking through, I'm like, oh, who are Doctor Strange villains? Because I'm not a huge fan of the character. Besides Mordo, I'm and Dormammu, I'm I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm looking.
I feel like the villains are more whatever's happening that is causing the so-called multiverse of madness. I feel like that's the.
I think he's gonna find a villain in the multiverse. Essentially, I think that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was looking. The villains that could be in the multiverse. There's one that's kind of like a Cthulhu guy, and then
I just don't think it's gonna be that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be that centralized. in the way that Jurassic Park is not centralized. The T-Rex is not the antagonist.
Well, the rumor was that WandaVision was going to be a direct lead into it.
Yeah.
And that she was going to be...
That Wanda was essentially the catalyst for the multiverse bursting open.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and that means then you don't have to have like a direct callback to the Doctor Strange comics villain-wise. Like you could be like, oh, his main antagonist in this is an evil Hawkeye, just to throw crazy ideas out there. Like, you know, there's so many different things that you could pull from with an idea of the multiverse of mad. Like it doesn't. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the only character I'm looking through that I was like, I really want to see a live action version of this character is Mephisto.
Angar the Screamer. Oh no, okay, sorry.
No, Mephisto.
I see it more as like they set up future Doctor Strange villains. Like you see like teases and hints of Doctor Strange villains and other villains. Yeah,
for other Mephisto would be like another Thanos, like a magic world Thanos.
Also, like Dormammu wasn't defeated; Dormammu's just stuck.
Right. One of the verses that they end up in is the Dark Dimension, and Dormammu's like, "No, you came back, did you?"
Oh, what's up, motherfucker?
That and having it being the multiverse, keyword multiverse, you could easily just have like the one scene in Shazam where they have them opening all the different doors. Like you could easily have something like a Shuma Gorath show up in one of the multiverses. You don't have to spend 20 minutes with him. It could just be like a quick 2-minute thing where it's like, oh god, there's this weird one-eyed tentacle thing, and then moving on to another multiverse. So
look, there's like a bunch of those monsters. There's like the Nameless one, which is like a monster.
Yeah,
there's
a ton of potential to just, like Arlen said, like be like, oh well, that's somebody we could come back to later, or that's something we could come back to later. It doesn't have to be a singular main villain to follow the typical comic trope.
Are we forgetting about what's his face in the end of Doctor Strange?
Yeah, Mordo.
I think he comes back later, but he could play a part.
Yeah, I feel like he's more like the Nega Doctor Strange in many ways.
I feel like I'd rather see him for a quick fight and then runs.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think they should save him for something bigger later down.
Yeah,
but he should definitely be taking advantage of chaos so that the multiverse of God damn it, if I say that one more time.
I wonder if
Marvel's gonna come with a big check.
What's her name as the night nurse?
Yeah. It would be also a great way to like incorporate things that are maybe not entirely canon, things that are like kind of nebulous in terms of how much they matter to the MCU.
Especially with like the bubble and stuff like that, or the blip.
Yeah. So I think Sam Raimi will be able to handle this with aplomb very easily. Like,
he'll do a great job. He'll do.
Although I was gonna say, like, I kind of would like Bruce Campbell to do a bit as Mephisto, and you could just have Mephisto be a different actor in different films.
Yes,
I think people on Twitter are already saying he should be Mr. Sinister.
That makes no fucking sense.
Too tightly connected to X-Men. No, Mephisto would be the best bet. I think. I completely 100% agree with you.
Yeah, because he's a shapeshifter, and he exists in many of the stories. He is one of those entities that exist across all multiverses. Like there's just one Mephisto.
Yeah, he was during that weird Comics Code time where they couldn't do the devil. No, this isn't the devil. It's Mephisto. He's somebody different. Yeah.
And if whatever their plans with Ghost Rider is a good way to like kind of take him around.
Oh yeah.
What fucking plans?
If they wanted to,
well, they're still planning to do that Hellstorm TV show for Hulu.
No, that show is fucking dead. They said they pulled a plug on it months ago.
No, Ghost Rider, not Hellstorm.
What Hellstorm? I have no idea.
There is a Damien Hellstorm and whatever his sister's name is show for Hulu.
Yes.
That's just as good as that all the Quibi stuff that's coming out, huh? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't believe any of that's going to happen. I think there's some things that they're definitely going to do, like the anime What If and the stuff that has actual actors from the MCU. Everything else is 100% nebulous and could be dropped off the face of the earth.
The Ghost Rider thing was going to be what's his name? I mix up the names.
Yeah, it's one of the Lunar brothers, right?
Yeah, like it's either Gabriel or what's the other one?
I think it's Gabriel.
Remember.
Is it Gabriel? Yeah, because it was the one that was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they could bring back Nick Cage if they wanted. If they
really
wanted to.
Shield, he gets the Ghost Rider from another
Do
Ghost
it,
Rider.
you cowards. Do it. Bring back Nick
Go
Cage.
so far as to make it so that Nicolas Cage gave Robbie Reyes his powers.
Well, they did that in. They just didn't show who was the Ghost Rider.
No, that's what I'm saying. Go the full 10 yards and show Nick Cage.
Yeah.
But Raimi Doctor Strange 2, I think is great.
Yeah.
Remember,
also he bounced out right as comic book movies were starting to get really interesting in a lot of ways. Like they were developing and kind of maturing a little bit, and he kind of missed out on all that.
He was too busy being miserable making Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, he got the big one, and then the studio. He's like the king of studio. Fuck with my series.
Yeah, like he got to be there at the beginning of this genre, and he's just been out of it. So I'm curious to see what will happen with him coming back in, and things have developed in so many ways and changed. I think he'll have an interesting perspective on.
I want to see situations where he's like, he assumes he can't use somebody, but then someone at Marvel's like, "Oh no, well, go ahead. What are you talking about?"
No, go for
it.
Yeah.
What do you mean you own all that stuff now? You've always owned it.
Those dark days are gone, my friend. Yeah.
Kevin's like,
Kevin Feige just puts a hand on his head. He's like, "Oh, my son."
He's like, "It's better now. I can do whatever I want. I am God now."
I can have Bruce Campbell be Wonder Man in my Doctor Strange 2 movie.
Well, no,
it makes no sense. But like, okay,
that one's already claimed by somebody. But
it's in a poster in the background of a movie, and we barely see it.
Yeah.
I feel like because of the actor, though, I feel like you give it to him first.
Except he's now in a DC movie that's coming out.
Is that Nathan Fillion?
Is that poster from the 80s, or is that poster modern day? I can't.
I think it's supposed to be in the 80s.
Yeah, it is.
It could be that Bruce Campbell is older. Nathan Fillion, I buy that. I'm willing to go.
Or how about this? Just don't do Wonder Man. Just don't do Wonder Man.
I agree with what this man is saying.
Well, I would only bring it up because it's the dumbest character, and you could throw any.
But Lou, you held us hostage trying to tell us why the Wonder Twins would work on TV, and we were like, "We don't care."
I don't remember that. I was probably inebriated.
You probably were.
You really, Lou? Were you?
It was as we were trying to get out of Crisis on Infinite Earths. You're like, hold on, let me tell you how the Wonder Twins would be great.
I've got this PowerPoint presentation to put into chat.
I don't remember it.
Now let's move on to a man that we don't like as.
God. I want to like J.J. Abrams. That's the thing.
Here's the thing with J.J. Abrams is that, like, as a guy who took Star Trek, successfully rebooted it, and then came along and, like, spearheaded, like, the Star Wars revival, if you take those two things in a vacuum, you're like, I mean, like, what's to hate? But then, like, Rise of Skywalker is so middling and it's inoffensive and offensive all at once, and like such a fucking box-checking movie, it kind of paints him as a stooge.
JJ, use less teeth.
This is a running bit. I'm
imagining that fucking picture of George Lucas where he's like zooming up to him in the red carpet, and like the camera makes it look like he's fucking scooting up to him.
It outside of our not all of us, but most of our dislike of Rise of Skywalker, like I will admit there were elements I liked. I'm optimistic about Stephen King stuff because there seems to be a real like resurgence of competent, if not excellent, Stephen King adaptations. And him taking something that isn't necessarily an adaptation, but just a furthering of an idea, I'm okay with.
Okay, so to start, I did put this in the Stephen King category, but there is also a DC aspect to this, so we should probably go there first.
Also, I don't know what I just know we're talking about Abrams. I don't know what he's making in this department. I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's working on a couple different things. He's doing a Justice League Dark show for HBO Max.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
The Shining spinoff, and then something original called Bester. We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah,
because
we don't.
It's Justice League Dark for HBO Max.
If he's taking notes from how good Doom Patrol has been, from what I've heard, cool. Mm-hmm. If he's not, well, I'm a little bit worried.
This is my note that's sort of in a similar. If this isn't a continuation of what was established in the James Wan Swamp show, I don't care.
Also, if I'm gonna say it right now, also if it's a different Constantine actor, I'm fucking out. I really am. I'm not kidding. Yeah. That's one of my biggest things with this because
well then
I am
we'll see you later, Connor.
Fuck it, I'm out. I am over the DC disconnect. Like you guys set up Crisis, then you said it all counts. So like let's bridge more gaps here. And if you're trying to set up like a coherent TV multiverse with doppelgangers and all kinds of other stuff, or like or beings that can hop universes and stuff like that, like there's no reason to get a new Constantine at this point. So I don't see it happening.
The only argument for it is that Swamp Thing was not established to be in Prime Earth. That's the only way. Again, I'm assuming that Swamp Thing is in this and that it's a continuation of the Wan first. Because I don't understand why you don't do that. I don't understand why you don't understand that there was a backlash to the way that show was canceled. That you can be the ones that save it. So that you automatically have some goodwill that comes from that. Even if
Let's look at J.J. Abrams' track record with continuing things from prior established things and understand that he likes to just be like, nope, I'm putting my own new paint on.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not
honestly, and like, I kind of like, and over the years, I was like, people were like, the J.J. Abrams mystery box sucks. And I'm like, I have no opinion. But now, after this trilogy, the Star Wars trilogy is wrapped up, like, a lot of things that people say about his whole writing trope is true, where he's like, it's a mystery box. What's in it? It's a mystery. Do you know what's in that fucking box? He's like,
I don't even need Star Wars. I just look at his entire career. I look at who's done the mystery box well. There's two teams, I guess, of people that have done it well. Later Lindelof stuff has done mystery box well. Because the mystery box really doesn't matter that much in Lindelof stuffs. And we talked about this, the showrunners of Fringe, they did mystery box well. And ultimately it really wasn't a mystery box. Everybody else, it's either not turned out well, the movies just get canceled, or the movie series die out because nobody has an interest in them anymore, or just nothing matters, so people don't really care. Star Wars continues to be because it's Star Wars. I don't think you could kill Star Wars if you went in intentionally trying to kill Star Wars. So it's one of those things where time has shown that his writing style and his entire approach to things doesn't really work. So I have very little reason to be excited for what he's going to do. Like, we immediately had inside jokes inside our chat about what the Shining series is going to be. Because it's so there, it's so obvious. Him just doing a straightforward show would be shocking at this point. It would be just the most surprising thing on earth to most of us.
Well, that was the thing from what I read about his idea for The Shining, so you have an idea, Connor, is that it's going to be stories about things that have happened at the Overlook, not necessarily pertaining to the Torrances. It's just going to be stories of... I think out of all of Stephen King's creations, this potentially has the chance to work the best, because...
because the Overlook has a history of, like, weird shit.
Yeah, I mean, and if I don't get to see a dog man blowing some guy, I'm real disappointed.
We need to see the origin.
It is kind of like how you could theoretically do an It franchise with like multiple decades, because Pennywise has been around for so long. Eventually, you see the same shit over and over again.
Yeah, That's the thing, though. Like in the story of, just to sidetrack a little bit onto It, but the story that Stephen King established with It, like, the losers were the only ones that ever put up any type of fight against it. So really, if you did a story about or show about it, and throughout time it would just be, hey, he killed a whole lot of kids and did a lot of horrific things, and they went
That's
to sleep
what I'm saying. Like you could do the story once and have a bummer of a fucking ending. Then it's like, and then every decade after that, he just slaughtered a bunch of kids.
Yeah, so it wouldn't work. But I think the Overlook, like, by its nature, knowing that it's always been this evil entity, for lack of a better term, I think it can work for a serialized show.
I do have a quick opposing theory for it, like, franchise, I guess. Like, instead of focusing on Pennywise, like, why not shine a spotlight on, like, maybe a handful of the adults who aren't so transfixed, and see how Pennywise fucks up this town sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, once again, like, you would still want to have some sort of heroic conclusion to it.
Yeah, and that's the other part of the thing is like every instance up to the Losers Club is like, and then they lost.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I think, like, this idea with the Overlook could work, because it would be a horror show, so it would always be a bummer of an ending. Like, no one gets a heroic ending, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, the heroic thing is getting out of the Overlook before you die, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think it could be interesting because of how long the Overlook is around. You can play with different time periods. And I don't think the inherent idea of this is dumb. I think it's JJ's writing style, where I was immediately like, oh, he's going to explain why the hotel is the way it is. Yeah. And it's going to be an over-explanation that we don't need. No. And that's something I'm not... And this was my other thing. I'm afraid he's going to look at the Flanagan's movie and just, like, say, "What? I don't care about that. Fuck that." And to me, like, it's too early for that. It's too early to be, like, looking at the most recent iteration of this story and just being like, fuck everything that happened here, burn it all down.
Oh, you don't want Snoke? Well, double fuck Snoke.
Right. I'm just like, I can feel it coming with Justice League Dark. I'm like, oh, they're gonna make fun of CW shows. We make fun of CW shows because we watched them and because we experienced them, and we have a right to do that.
Who's this wee motherfucker?
You made fun of CW shows, you son of a bitch.
For a time period.
You're right
and
there
then
with
I
us.
got out. And then I got out.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, you will make jokes about them now. But you have a right to do that. More
but
than
also,
J.J. Abrams.
But I also, zero. Yeah, that's the thing. I wouldn't want to see someone like J.J. Abrams come in and take a shit on those shows because, like, I'm sorry, but the CW shows have put forth the single best effort from the DC properties currently going outside of animation or like Doom Patrol. Like, the CW shows got to do Crisis on Infinite Earths before a movie even got to smell it.
Alternate take, he didn't suffer through the worst of it with us, so he can fuck off.
Fair enough.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm going to pick up my mic for this one. Hang on, so you get the emphasis. You weren't around for...
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, he didn't...
If you didn't like this stuff, I don't think you would have finished season 3 of The Flash. Because, like, I'm imagining you with us trying to just deduce the identity of this guy and having us married to certain theories that hold so much water, only to have them swing back around and punch us in the face and go, nah, it's just evil Barry.
Here's the thing. Both of these... JJ could pick somebody else to do and be in charge of these shows, and that person could do a great job. And when I hear the name of that person, my tune might change a little bit depending on who it is, and depending on, like, if we hear Cat. I'm more okay with them doing another Constantine again if it's the Juan Swamp Thing that they're going. But if they're just starting over from scratch, I don't see a purpose behind it.
What I don't get is, like, they already brought back Matt Ryan from another show to now this universe, and they've established that he has gone to other universes when he met Lucifer.
Yeah, so, but that was a different time, and the CW stuff has always existed kind of in a weird bubble where, like, even as successful as Marvel stuff has been, it still hasn't really reflected that much in the CW verse. Like the CW verse has kept chugging on doing its own thing, and that's great. Like I as little as I've cared to watch it, like everything that is good about it, I applaud. Like I'm happy for that.
Well, that's part of like the problem with Warner Brothers. Like they made their own app that's basically going to be dead, and then they didn't connect those shows to it for reasons.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
there's no reason that Titans couldn't have been in the same universe at all.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it might have been a better show overall if they did, and I didn't hate it.
I think what's funny about Crisis on Infinite Earths, the TV crossover, is that didn't it essentially have the same motivations retroactively that the fucking comic did, which is like, hey, we've got too much loose continuity and all these extra characters, let's fucking streamline this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yep.
And the TV show version pretty much did that by announcing through cameos and used footage of like Doom Patrol, Titans.
Well, Titans was the used. Everything else was new. Even the Doom Patrol was like new footage they filmed.
Yeah. All like by announcing them on screen, you're like, yeah, we have all this extra shit, and now it all counts. So,
including the cameo of the now canceled Flash.
Yeah.
We'll see. Like Ezra, your timing could not be more shitty.
Yeah.
Well, really, it's not like anything's going to be in production, and with everything that's going on in the world right now.
Quiet. No.
Well, it speaks to like didn't one of the ex-directors quote like creative differences?
He just put out a tweet that said creative difference. Same time the video was blowing up. It's like, how many people that could be about?
Yeah. But
maybe every time the only movie's only in like pre-production this long is because they don't have the heart to cancel it because Ezra Miller keeps physically threatening people.
He just keeps threatening the executives. Like
he does have the Speed Force, and he's just like choke slamming people.
He's sitting across the table, and like a Warner Bros. Exec comes in like cowering. He's like, Mr. Miller, so Lord and Miller have dropped out of the project, and like Ezra just clenches a fist.
He's like, I'm the only Miller here.
The movie's been moved back into. It's been moved back into development.
Find a director, or my hands will find their way around your throat. You meager fuck.
Somebody tell Grant Morrison I've been emailing him.
Oh God.
He won't answer my calls.
God.
Grant Morrison's like, who?
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of name is Ezra?
No, Grant Morrison would probably be like, oh yeah, he'd write him back like he was a fan. Because Grant Morrison is apparently a very good guy.
Oh, yes. What happens when you take all of the mushrooms in the world?
Yes. So yeah, I don't know. J.J. Abrams could be good if idea I had is like treat this idea of the Shining, or at least the Overlook, like, for lack of a better term, Black Mirror, where each episode is a horrific but different take on the type of horrors that people have dealt with there.
Yeah.
Well, because I only seen The Shining once, and I've seen the it's. Here's the thing: I like The Shining. I don't love The Shining like other people do, but I do appreciate it and respect it. I've seen the made-for-TV movie, and based on what I know about Doctor, it's not good. And like based on all my knowledge around that and Dr. Sleep, like it doesn't sound like the Overlook ever torments somebody the same way twice, because with Jack, it very much seemed like, we're gonna really hone in on your alcoholism and your struggles as an artist and make you snap that way. But I can't imagine it's just like every time someone comes in there, like they just shove a typewriter from their face and they're just like, okay, and like
no, I mean, there's. Oh, go ahead, Arlen.
I was gonna say it definitely it forms to you. It definitely does that.
Yeah.
It adjusts to whatever your fears are.
And I mean, it could even introduce the idea of someone who is very powerful with The Shining, and seem to have the upper hand, but then the hotel, the entity, whatever you want to call it, it finds the weakness and is able to find that chink in the armor and defeat them. Yeah.
Also, and this is why part of me wants to be excited, because you can have cameos from other extended Stephen King stuff. You could have like I don't know Randall Flagg in the 40s coming through, staying in a room, and like he's just like looking at it all. Yeah, he's like, this is really fun. He's like, yeah.
You can have that 18-wheeler from Maximum Carnage.
Maximum Overdrive, you motherfucker.
It's driving down a
it's driving down a hallway. Yeah. Well, I mean, you could
doppelganger.
You could even, like, to tangentially connect it to the next thing, you could even have it be like the location in the far-flung future, that it's still desecrated lands that still have a horror show going on, that are just
absolutely
part of the outworlds or the other realms, which also then connects us to Salem's Lot.
I was gonna say, you said the outworld, you said Outer Worlds and something else. I was like, are you talking about Mortal Kombat?
No.
So
no.
Where the Shining takes place could easily be a gateway to Midworld or somewhere else.
That's what I was looking for. Well, it's
like it, yeah.
It's well, yeah, exactly. That the where the Overlook is could easily be a connection to Midworld, or at least it have terrible repercussions in the terrible future that that Midworld has. But
and I speculated in the chat that there could be a Guardian of the Beams there. Something of that nature. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff they could do. I just don't trust JJ to do it in an interesting way.
No, I see him seeing all of that potentially rich mythology, which is weird to say about Stephen King books, and being like, yeah, I'm going to play with this, and then he just turns it all into cement.
Yeah, basically, like he could just take all the charm out of anything interesting about it. Like, and again, like, you could have an episode where characters from books who never interact in any other material like meet each other at the Overlook. Like, some cool fanficky stuff that Stephen has the restraint to do, and I actually give him a lot of credit for having that restraint, that he never goes that far. He never went and said, I'm going to do my event because
isn't there already that show on Hulu or whatever?
No, it's
it's
adjacent to Stephen King stuff. Is the best way to put Castle Rock.
Okay.
Like,
I thought
they sold it as being far less than Well, like, I know season 2 has the woman from Misery in it. And she's played by a really good actress, but the ending of the last season didn't interest me, and it's not a direct continuation of what they set up in that last season, and it kind of killed any interest I had in that show. And that show's produced by J.J. Abrams, so that's the other thing. Like, he kind of has an example there already.
The one thing I wanted to add real quick is, so you're saying with not Castle Rock, with the Overlook potentially having connections to various Stephen King characters that wouldn't meet. So the many-toothed penis of Pennywise could potentially meet various characters from the Stephen King.
That sounds like my cue to leave.
Well, no, but here's the thing. You could have, I mean, depending on how much they wanted to connect it to movies, you could have James McAvoy coming in for a writer's conference, and he meets, I don't know, he meets Ian McGregor, or not,
or he meets Bill Denenborough.
You know what I mean.
But
the character Bill could meet anybody. He could meet X character, or I guess that wouldn't really work unless they're doing it in a world where the hotel's still up already. But any number of things they could do. They could resurrect James Caan, which I would be all in favor of.
Are you suggesting that, like, the Overlook functions as like some like spooky Grand Budapest, where just like a bunch of Stephen King characters all hanging out in solidarity, and like
someone's working on Christine in the garage?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Christine could be in the park. Just like who knows? You never know.
It could work. But anyways, next thing was what, James Wan potentially doing Salem's Lot.
Well, it's not James Wan. It's Gary Dauberman, who wrote and directed Annabelle 3. The best Annabelle, as far as I'm concerned. And he's going to be working on a Salem's Lot adaptation. I'm excited for this.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any opinions?
One, like Salem's Lot is one of the Stephen King stories I know the least about. Also, I'm just like I'm running on gas, like fumes at this point, so I'm just like,
sure.
what's that? Like,
it's I haven't. Salem's Lot is one of the few books outside of Gunslinger that I've actually tried to tackle. I still haven't finished it. But it's a pretty creepy vampire story set in
that's
New
what I
Hampshire
gathered
town.
from it, but never actually read it or seen, read it or watched the movie.
Yeah.
That and it has a larger connection to the Dark Tower series because one of the main characters from Salems Lot shows up in like book 6 or book 5 of the Gunslinger series.
6.
Yeah,
five.
Okay.
And I don't know. Yeah, he's still alive at the end of 6. So.
And actually, no, he's still in the final book in the Dark Tower series. But anyways, that's going into a realm that both Lou and Connor have no idea. But Salems Lot is, I think, deserves to have a very good adaptation because it's got, Connor, this might pique your interest. It actually does have Cthulhu-esque or Lovecraftian connections. Like there's a few short stories that are connected to Salem's Lot. If you read any of Stephen King's short stories, I'll have to find exactly which ones, but there's one that takes place in like the 1800s, if not the 1700s. And then there's one that takes place in a town that's close by Salem's Lot, but it's still connected to Salem's Lot. But the one that takes place in the 1700s has 100% like a Lovecraftian feel to it, and it's great.
Just in the time period, it sounds like it's like oh, is it in the Miskatonic Valley too?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like it's taking the idea that like it's not just vampires; it's just like this is a nexus of evil, and it just takes many different forms over time. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Salem's Lot could be very good to adapt to a good movie. Hopefully, if they decide to take elements from everything and not just the look, it's vampires.
Yeah, and also
look, vampire.
Yeah, the only major adaptation of this before was Tobe Hooper for TV, and I've tried watching that movie, and I know a lot of people love it, but I can't do it.
There was actually a Rob Lowe and Donald Sutherland adaptation too that was on TNT, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm not watching that.
No, I'm not either, but I'm just saying.
Unless you think it's good.
I've never seen it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not into that, but I've tried watching that other again, like because people love Tobe Hooper, so I know that there's some.
That doesn't mean shit. Yeah, no, it's not great. Yeah, it's real bad.
It's real boring. It's not good. So I would like to see this one adapt. Any early King stuff getting adapted again, stuff that maybe didn't get a proper go.
Yeah.
Rose Red. If somebody tried to do that again, why not? I was waiting for that reaction.
Here's what's funny is that like I never saw Rose Red, but like the narrative around it when it came out was like, boy, that was shit.
Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need another Rose Red adaptation. We can just bury that into the earth. Bury the earth and glass it. Yeah. No. Yeah. Since you and I are the only ones who seem to really know a whole lot about Stephen King.
Well, yeah. The Doberman part is interesting, but I just realized the rest of you haven't actually seen Annabelle 3. All of you need to get on that because it's really good.
I mean, maybe after the same way that like Ouija came out and those first two, like the first few years of their existence, I was like, get fucked. And then Ouija Origins came out and
Ouija 2,
everyone was like, hey, this is really good. I was like, you're fucking full of shit.
Well, that's because it's Flanagan, but
yeah, exactly. Where it's like, I'm waiting for my own subconscious to get over the idea of like these movies were secretly getting better the whole time.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: they really haven't. They've mostly been mixed or bad. It's just that this one came out. I watched it in the theaters. I watched it in the theaters. I was like, "This is a film. There's a plot and there's character development and things are happening. I'm interested in what's happening to these people." And it was like I was under a trance because I could not believe what I was seeing. because I went to the theaters to see The Nun with my stepdad.
Oh no!
And that was an experience. He spent the entire time looking at me and scowling, like I had, just like so angry, like,
you little piece of shit.
Alan, what did you bring me to?
I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna make you eat all this fucking leftover spaghetti.
I was gonna say, there's a tanker truck full of spaghetti I could have been eating this whole fucking time.
You're gonna finish it with me, you little prick.
Exactly.
You're not my kid. I don't gotta protect you.
Now.
So yeah, like the fact that the movie wasn't bad was a miracle. Frankly, so yeah, he fixed Conjuring spinoffs as far as I'm concerned. So maybe he can handle Stephen King. Why not?
On a quick side note about Flanagan, Absentia is on Shudder, which it had been on Netflix, and Absentia is actually a decent little horror movie. Like I watched it randomly on Netflix years ago, and I was like, "Huh, that was decent." I don't know who that was, but whatever.
I picked that up like in a pile of horror movies that were like being talked about at the time and started never finished it. So I should probably get back around to that.
It's good.
It's definitely evident that it was a Kickstarter funded film.
Yeah,
but it's not bad.
Yeah. You can feel the seams. You can
honestly
see them,
like of the
good.
horror films I've seen that were Kickstarters. Like, I think maybe one of them was outright terrible.
Right.
And like I think it's like I think The Dark Forest on Movie Dumpster was a Kickstarter film. And you know that movie's dreadful. The Lord of Tears was cool and then gets really, really boring. But The Demon's Rook is the fucking cat's pajamas, and like everyone should fucking watch that movie. That movie's fucking good.
That movie. Oh god.
It's fucking insane, and it's made for like it is made for no money. They hide it well, and it is like someone just let you make a movie about demons who live in the woods who will lure kids to their demon realm to teach them demon powers for 13 years and just let them go.
Oh, third grade. Okay.
That was good. Okay. Do we want to keep going, or do we want to...
I am spiraling into fatigue.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm falling asleep.
If we want to wrap it up, that's fine.
Yeah, I think we should wrap it up. I mean, Northman, I know nothing about, and I don't have any idea.
I didn't even know it was a thing until you put that note up there.
It's Robert Eggers' next movie.
Yeah, I knew it was his next movie, but I don't know what exactly it's referring to. And Perry Mason, I think, is only going to appeal to a very select subset of people, even if the trailer does look good.
Yeah, I agree. So that's it. Look up Northman yourself, people out there, if you don't know what that is.
Fuck you.
But it's the witch guy doing Vikings, so get fucking excited.
Oh, I'm on board. I don't need to know anything else.
Yep. Yeah. Actually, the less I know, the better.
Yeah, exactly. I still don't know what the fuck The Lighthouse is about, but I can't wait to watch it. So we just recorded John Carpenter's Vampires for Movie Dumpster, and that movie is a load of fun, even if James Woods is so problematic nowadays. And the only reason we watched it is because for us, Daniel Baldwin's filmography, for our experience, has been very problematic because in every film he backhands a woman and yells at her, and in this movie he backhands Laura Palmer and yells at her.
Right, but you got to make her canon into the.
Yes, we did.
Was dinner ready or not?
Well, she bit him. I guess that's the reason for it.
But then they get to go off at the end and become vampire buddies.
We took a big sheeping hit on that.
Sheeping hit.
I am exhausted. We took a big heaping shit over that subplot because it is dumb and slows the movie down. And it's fucking Daniel Baldwin. Who would believe in a second that a fucking divine being like Laura Palmer would ever even consider Daniel Baldwin?
Sweaty Daniel Baldwin.
Oh my god. And he's once again playing a character with a Spanish last name. Like, I don't fucking care. His name is Tony Montoya, which is dangerously close to another character from a very famous film.
I like to imagine
played by an Italian playing a Cuban.
I like to imagine in between scenes he was eating a ball of Cheetos that he had formed into an apple shape.
Oh my god!
And that's why he was so sweaty.
I feel like he snorts a line of Coke and then eats a bag of Cheetos.
In that movie alone, it's like, look at him just balding all over the place. Like, he's eating gross fast food, he's sleeping and drinking out of bottles of booze. Like, he's just so Daniel Baldwin, and then he hits her.
But
actually,
he does
before
have
that,
a film
before that, I'm pretty sure he German suplexes her through a fucking window to save her from killing herself. But yeah, it's really fun, and it's a weird
because
John
that
Carpenter
roast
movie.
was overcooked. I'd do it again.
It's a little stringy, and he just fucking slams her through her table. Anyway, we also recorded the first half of an episode of a two-part coming out next month. We recorded two episodes with the Slashers pod. We watched House and House 2. And
one of those is good.
I have never seen House, and House is fucking fun. We're doing House 2 tomorrow, and I have no idea what I'm in for.
It's definitely not lupus.
Okay.
It's House 2 is a kids movie. Anyways,
I had a feeling, not to be confused with the Japanese movie Houseu, which we may do eventually. The director of which died recently.
Yeah.
But look out for those. The Vampires episode is really good. The Being just came out. That's a big old piece of shit. That I only barely enjoyed. But it does have an actor who has two fake names, one in the opening credits and one in the closing credits, and his first name is Rex Coltrane, and his name at the end is Johnny Commander.
Yes.
Great.
But yeah,
Dick
I don't remember.
Hardchest.
Beef blank fist. Big McLarge huge. Go watch Space Mutiny, everybody. But yeah, that's it. I'm not sure. I can't remember what we're doing the following month, but yeah, our schedule stuff is really picking up steam. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. This episode should be coming out soon. So the Mad Max episode of Lost Horror Pod should be out. Pretty sure. James Bond episode 2 will be coming out soon. So look to that. Again,
Excited.
Yeah. Thoughts and suggestions are highly requested for that one because we want to do a really good job with that one. Not that we don't with the rest of the show, but anyways. Also guests, if anybody wants to be a guest on that or on future episodes. I think we filled it out mostly, but let me know. Give me a reminder in case I skipped anybody. So yeah, I think that's my plugs for the most part.
I'm Erik Fedorchak. You can find me at Erik_Fedor on Instagram. There are pictures of dogs and cats, food and comics. Haven't really been all that active on there because crushing anxiety while all of this is going on, especially in the medical field, isn't exactly the most fun thing on earth. So outside of that, you can find me floating around the Phantom Zone. I'm there doing things. And sometimes I'm not. And Leonardo, please continue your reign of terror on Hunter's bad opinions and bad taste on things like Moon Knight and Beastars, because he's a fucking furry.
Do me an extra favor too. Specifically, listen to episodes that he's not on, but review his performance anyway, and always grade it poorly.
Yes. Yes. Give us 5 stars, but give him 0.
Yeah, give him 0 for not showing up.
Yes.
And tag his Instagram account on Reddit for ages. Yeah, so I'm Luke Gonzalez. Comic show has been going, but we don't have comics to review because there aren't any out because of pandemics.
So you guys have been getting creative.
So we watched Cats and recorded it. So, and I think our next one, which does go listen to that. I actually did not hate Cats. And I think our next movie is Bloodshot.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
No.
We're going to try to record and watch Bloodshot this week. And I do have to say, I was always weirded out when they had Cal Penn, killed off screen in House, with some weird suicide. And that's it.
I am...
Please making jokes only for me.
Okay.
House starring I can't remember his name.
Hugh Laurie.
It's just House.
Hugh Laurie,
The dad
Omar
from
Epps.
Stuart Little.
I feel like this is like an off-show bit that's happening on the show.
I'm so confused how no one else gets this.
Oh, I get it. I just never watched the show. I did want to bring up as the many-toothed penis of Pennywise opened its gaping
I am in
maw
such a
towards
state
me.
of I am in such a tired state that it doesn't even affect me. I'm like, you know what? I dare you. Keep going.
He space docked.
Okay, now
with
in the show.
Okay. No. Bye.
Bye.
Their union was that of
We'll jump into.
I have to clear
We'll
this
see.
up
We'll see how
now.
serious this is going to be.
10 seconds from now.
Yep.
Or now.
Or now.
No.
Hey, as I've just finished telling you guys off recording, I've been regaling you with stories about how I want to die.
Wait, I'd like to
Nice.
examine something you just said there. Did you say you guyses? Did the Jersey in you come out there for a second?
Maybe I did. I honestly, I don't know. I can't remember most of the past week, let alone the last 30 seconds.
He's
Okay.
reverted back to a previous form.
Hey, you guys! I'd like to kill myself.
use guyses.
You know what's
Let me
funny
tell
is that
you.
I was invited to a Zoom chat with all my Jersey wrestling buddies, and I was like,
Oh
no,
my.
I have to go. I'm still at work. Like,
I would like to see the video of that just to see if one of them was a giant purple dildo.
no, those people. Here's the thing with that. Those people we met once and never communicated with ever again.
They disappeared into the mists.
I wonder why.
Is it in Jersey? Like, did anybody else have like wrestling and backyard wrestling stuff? Because I had that too growing up.
Yeah, I
In
had
Jersey?
that. Yeah,
Here's
it was
the
back
thing,
when
like-
we were wrestling.
Oh yeah, it was. Even Ashley told me like she would go because she was in the Juggalos. Like backyard wrestling was a massive thing in their social circles.
Yep.
But in
She was-
Jersey,
She was a
and I think-
juggalette.
yes. I think in Jersey and I think a lot of places like suburban boredom plus wrestling popularity equals backyard wrestling.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
being close enough to Manhattan also has a lot to
Mhm.
do with that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Or you just know a man named Tom who most likely psychopathic, who runs his own backyard wrestling tournament. And he
Yeah.
idolizes Vince McMahon. So yeah, maybe you know
Oh, that's
that.
very different.
See, for
I was
me,
across the street, and there were a couple older kids, and they did it on the trampoline, and it stopped when one cut their friend's head open. You know those big aluminum containers that the 3 popcorns come in?
yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he like ripped open the guy whose house it was, and the mom came out and was like, "That's it, no more." And there's like 7 of us, like 8-year-olds, watching these 15-year-olds backyard wrestle.
How quaint! My friend Mike had a pipe fall into his head. He pulled it out, put a hat on, and went to work.
for me, I was blessed not to have to deal with that level of amateur stuff because living in Lancaster, we had Philadelphia nearby, and that's where the ECW arena was. So we had a lot of ECW shows going on in our
Honestly,
area.
I think you know what's funny is I think the closer you get to Philadelphia as like an epicenter, the better backyard wrestling you get.
Yeah,
I think that makes sense because
Like-
I was farther from it than you were.
Because the sphere of influence of like ECW and like Gabe Sapolsky and like wrestling in that part of the country just kind of spread outwards. And also, all these kids knew at least one guy who was either in the indies or in a major wrestling promotion. Like, and it's at some point, like, especially me, like, yeah, exactly. Like, I was in the Point Pleasant Boardwalk, and I'm just like minding my business. First of all, it's fucking dead. I can't remember what time of the year it is, but like it's jacket
anytime
season.
that's
Nobody's in
not
the fucking
July or
boardwalk.
August.
Yeah,
Well, were the hobos above the boardwalk or below?
that's
at that
Atlantic
point?
City, not Point
Okay.
Pleasant.
No, Point Pleasant is where they used to do MTV Jersey Shore.
Oh,
No, that's Seaside. That's Seaside.
Well, they did them. They are like kind of around the same.
But the thing is, Point Pleasant's smaller and way cleaner. And Point Pleasant's full of like actual old retired fishermen. And lots
isn't
of
Point
like,
Pleasant where they have the aquarium?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's much more like family friendly. But we're walking on the boardwalk.
How do you know they weren't hobos? Because fishermen and hobos, old fishermen, kind of look like hobos.
Because
I think a fisherman is a hobo on a boat.
We knew the hobos in Jersey by name. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Crazy Bill Clinton. But my girlfriend at the time was like, "Hey, that guy's wearing a wrestling jacket," which sounds stupid to me when I think back at it. Because like, do you think my attention span, like, do you think so little of my hobbies that you're like, look, that guy's wearing a thing that you like? Isn't that great? And I'm like, at first I'm like, whatever. I turn around and I'm like, that's Balls Mahoney. I'm like, that's exactly. I'm like, that's Balls Mahoney, and he's 15 feet away from me.
Well, and like, let's be honest here. If somebody pointed out, hey, that person is wearing a reverse flash hoodie, you would be like, what? Where?
Well,
I need
that's
to talk
different.
to them.
That's different. Yeah. But like, mine was. But the problem is, like, she pointed out Balls Mahoney of all people, who just looks like a fat guy with a beard. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I assumed so.
Yeah.
That's like 17 wrestlers. That's like 17 New Jersey wrestlers.
Yeah, exactly. That's like 5 of my friends.
Right.
But I saw him, and like, he kind of sees me noticing him, and he turns around and he's like, "Hey, dude, what's up? I'm wrestling Masato Tanaka this Sunday at ECW One Night Stand." I was like, "I'll be there."
And Arlen,
watch it on pay-per-view.
I'm going to put a picture of Balls Mahoney in the chat just so you can see.
So you can see how accurate.
The name is just now making.
He's like shittier Al Snow.
Balls Mahoney was great because, like, again, he every time he wrestled Masato Tanaka, who's like this Japanese wrestler who was just covered in scars from head to toe. Every time they wrestled, I thought someone had died because like, Balls would take a chair, basically he would arc it on the other side of his feet, like so it's on the ground, bring it in a complete, like, what degrees would you say this came at? Like a full half circle, right?
Yeah, give or take.
So 180 degrees.
180 degree swing and just planted over Tanaka's head like once a week for like 7 fucking years.
Yeah.
And like, it got to the point where like that spot wasn't good enough, so Balls would pick up a chair and just throw it at his face.
Mm-hmm. It's actually safer.
Yeah.
When he found out. Yeah.
The one time I got to see a live ECW event was in Reading, Pennsylvania, which isn't really the metropolis that anyone would ever think of when you think of cities. And I swear to God, I saw a girl get kidnapped by ECW wrestlers. Like, she went up into the ring and was talking to I think Tommy Dreamer, and Tommy Dreamer got the crowd to chant, "Show us your tits," and then she disappeared backstage, and no one ever saw her again. Is my opinion.
Tommy Dreamer was the man who, at the end of a big story where his wife left him, and then she won her back, and then another woman somehow got involved. He ended the story ends with him grabbing a microphone and saying, "I'll take them both because I'm hardcore," and left with both of them.
And then he gave a Death Valley driver to one of them.
Probably.
Anyway.
Probably his wife.
Yeah, most likely.
And then Kurt Angle was in the crowd like, "My God, they just crucified him, man." Real thing that happened. Kurt Angle almost worked for ECW, and the night he showed up to see what their product was about, Raven crucified the Sandman with barbed wire.
I love it.
And Kurt Angle was like, "Yo, cool shit, but I can't be a part of this." Like,
I'm an Olympic gold medalist for reals.
Yeah. And
Paul Heyman, owned by the same company.
And Paul Heyman was like, "I didn't know they were going to do that, so big sorry." And Kurt's like, "Yeah, no."
Oh, man. I love it.
So this is a news show in which Connor has not paid attention to any of the news because he's been fucking held hostage by the general public.
Isn't it fun working in a medical field right now?
Oh, I mean, like,
at least you're outside of the house and not stuck in the house with somebody.
At least for myself, I see the sunlight when I leave for work and then when I'm leaving work, and that's it. Like, I have no windows. I'm in a box in a box. Like, I am in the apartment that is completely cut off from the outside world within the hospital.
Yeah,
we're excited to go to Home Depot tomorrow for Staples or a Staples.
A few weeks ago, because on Mondays I walk because I'm not taking the bus during this whole shit. It's not happening. Even if all the buses in the city are free right now, I'm not taking the bus.
Right.
So I've been walking to work, which means that like to be there by, to be there to punch in by 7, I gotta leave the house by like, I don't know, 5:15, 5:30. Yeah. So like I have a window, but like I leave it somewhere between 5 and 5:45. I get to the area around 10 to 7, and at some point the sun comes up during that, and then I wait for a few hours, go have lunch, and when I come back, that's it. I'm just in a stone chamber for the rest of the day. And when I leave, I'm like, it's dark out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's fun. But remember, we're heroes. We're not being martyrs for this fucking cause.
You know what? Speaking of wrestling, we're an essential business, just like them.
No, not them. One.
The WWE.
Yeah.
And in one state, the one that's really easy to cut off.
Yeah.
Right. Like a skin tag.
Yeah, as Patton Oswalt called it, the gross, hanging, malformed scrotum of America.
Yep.
It's a state I'd be okay with being taken over by alligators. I'd be all right with that. I'd be.
Oh, you just totally a robot.
Okay, they're both in the Black Lodge.